Rob and I discussed it when he had called me up. I was in South Africa shooting a terrible movie, and he called me to talk about the idea of me coming back to the show, and I was in this headspace where I was in one of the most impoverished areas I'd ever been in filming, with a shanty, just out my window when I'm talking to him on the phone. And I'm like, any problems that I had are seemingly, minute in comparison to the real world problems that I'm just looking at. I'm pretty fortunate.
You as Michael right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so discussing the option of coming back, I was like, you know what? Yeah, we can work this out. And then the way Rob had the plan, because Rick was taking a step back from filming, he wanted to spend more time with Wiley and take less time in the show, and so he wasn't going to be there as much. And so they needed somebody to step in. It needed to be part of the action sequences more. When I was totally open to that, because I've been kind of campaigning for that a little bit before I left the show, and so they wanted the character more action oriented. I was like, sounds good to me, yeah. And you're gonna have to be, and I think the cynicism or the sarcasm, if you will, that eked out of Daniel that sounded Jack like is just Michael. That's where where I think that the switch happened, where the James Spader interpretation got really put in a box, and it moved on to being a lot more like myself, and which was again a lot easier to play than continuing to go back to that age-old characterization. And for the place I was at in life, it also made sense as well. So it all worked out, and all made sense, and it also helped balance the show as well without Jack being there as much. Although we still missed Rick's wry sense of humor and wit and improv all the time. So
what was it like?
But yeah, I think it was a good place.
Mel Harris.
Oh yeah,
she has been really good to me. Like anytime I've invited her to do something, she loved Oma. She loved that character. And I think that the journey that Daniel started at Keb in season 3 was a perfect dovetail into season 5 for Meridian. And I can't imagine what was going on in your mind at the time. I'm sure there was a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure, you wanted to probably move on to something else. But you have this great actress coming in, and these god lights coming down from the ceiling. I can't imagine how hot those were. What was it like sitting there and going all the way down into Daniel's soul with such an amazing actress? He's lost Share. He's lost Sarah, and now he's given his life up for a civilization that's about to blow themselves to hell. What was it like doing Meridian?
Yeah, a lot of mixed feelings. That episode. Listen, in hindsight, it's a great piece of entertainment. It's sad as hell, but the way that we get there is honest. And the way that we built up that storyline since the 3rd season was sitting there. And boy, what a tough role for an actor to step into, to play Oma DeSalle. Oh, by the way, you're this omnipotent being. You're basically an angel, and you're coming in to get this guy. Go. Oh, okay, great. And what I loved about it was the sort of neutrality that she kept the whole way through. There was no, the way that she monotone things through, and not to use that term disparagingly, but to say that she kept a neutral perspective on everything. There was never a question of opinion of everything. And that plays perfectly to Oma's walk the line mentality. So it was a great choice to play. I loved her later in the diner as the waitress. That was way more fun.
You want some motor oil?
Uh, yeah, it's great. Two pigs in a blanket. Oh, it's great. But for that, like again, and the perfect send off for that character.
Yeah.
Without knowing where this was going to land and what. You know, at the time it was a little bit difficult knowing all the stuff that was sort of going on and the mixed emotions that you're sort of feeling in it. But as a like I said, as a dual service episode in terms of accomplishing what's accommodating the actor and providing a journey for the character, and having the audience fully emotionally involved, it's a great story. Like I said, in hindsight, I think it's a nice piece of storytelling. Rob did a great job with it.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And poor Will Waring had to do. It was Will Waring's first episode foray. He was our camera operator, and he had to direct the damn thing. Poor guy. I'm like, wow, they threw you under the bus, huh? But he did a great job with it. He came in well armed and prepared, and continued to direct for many more years after that too. So
absolutely no, and it's one of those you have to be sensitive about it because, not only is this a character who's departing, whom everyone loves and resonates with, but it's heavy subject matter, I mean, and it's actually fairly relatively topical in terms of today because the World War III discussions are coming up again. But I think that it's just one of the finer hours of the show, and man, you got a hell of a send-off. That was good. Having Amanda and Rick and Chris there, having everyone having their moment with you, and then sending you on your way. No one was more deserving of the opportunity to explore the next realm than Daniel. The wonder child. He had always his eyes were always wide open.
Yeah, as the explorer, it's the perfect opportunity to be the guy that goes first in that situation too. So yeah, it was good. It was a good piece of writing for sure.
When you came back, the character had a harder edge, and I'm curious to know how much of this was you, how much of this was the writers, how much of this was the two of you, the two groups working in conjunction with one another. He kind of had the rose-colored lenses, muddied up because he had been on the other side, and ultimately in Threads we find out why he was kicked out, because he didn't like the way that they were going and treating people. But the character had a harder edge and was much more cynical. And when Rick left the show, I think Daniel took on some of those traits to kind of like, well, now that Jack doesn't have an immediate voice in the group, I'm going to kind of take up like some of the snarkiness that Rick would have had. Do you agree with that? In my interpretation of that, and why do you think it was that that was the case? Was that a deliberate approach to make him more cynical about the universe when he fell?
I think it was a natural choice. Like, I think for the wide-eyed idealist that he was when he went away and thinking that he was going off to someplace better, it's like going to heaven and thinking that, we see the light and we go up there and it's just the same old bullshit in politics that it is here, that you have to sit there and go, oh, I thought this was going to be better. And you come back and go, it's like what's the Dr. Seuss, I had trouble getting to Solace Saloon, where you never have troubles, at least very few. And you finally, you're about to go, and then you decide you're just going to go back to the beginning and deal with your problems roughly. That's what your solution is. Instead of going to that idealistic place, let's solve the problem here. And I think that's what I do agree.
Thanks for watching this clip from Dial the Gate. If you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. It's our goal to share a new Stargate story every day while we're on break. Please feel free to subscribe to future episodes here on YouTube. And if you have Stargate friends who might like this clip, let them know about us. Be sure to visit dialthegate.com to view the complete archive, as well as transcripts from past interviews. I'll see you on the other side.